to is 0809 440 You can also tweet at smooth981. Don't forget to use the hashtag. It's Lagos Talks 981. And we're streaming live on our YouTube as well. The YouTube channel is Smooth 981 FM Lagos. And you can even post a comment on the live stream. Now, when it comes to building collapses, unfortunately, Nigeria has experienced a rather significant increase in recent years. Now, there have been some high-profile incidents of building collapses in Lagos, in Port Harcourt, in Abuja, and several other areas across the country. Now, these incidents have highlighted the need for urgent action to address the issue, as well as to prevent future occurrences. I have statistics from the Building Collapse Prevention Guild. Now, according to the reports, 271 building collapses have been recorded in the last decade. And from those building collapses, there have been 531 fatalities. Last year alone, at least 61 building collapses were recorded in Nigeria. And of that number, 20 were reported from Lagos State. Just last week, another building collapsed in Banana Island here in Lagos. Now, this certainly is a major issue. It's something that certainly raises questions about the adequacy of building regulation and enforcement in Nigeria. Our special guest this morning is Engineer Aileme Unuigbe. He's a principal engineer in the ICOL Consulting Engineers. He's a registered member of the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, COREN. He's maintained a practice license with COREN for over 3 decades, and he is the Publicity Secretary of the Nigerian Institute of Structural Engineers. Good morning, Engineer Aileme, and welcome to Lagos Talks.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here today.
Indeed, it's an honor to have you on here to share your experience, of course. Now, with regards to this spate of building collapses in Nigeria, what would be described as a safe or a stable building?
Okay, thank you. A safe building is exactly what you call it. A building without any defect. And defects, we begin to look at deflections, crack, vibration. A building in use, which does not have any structural inadequacies of any type.
All right. So how will the safety of a building be assessed?
Yeah. These items which I mentioned just now, vibration, cracks in a building, deflection, those are major items that we check during design of a building. And if a building is performing properly as it's designed to perform, we won't have any of these defects. Yeah.
All right. Well, let us know what your thoughts are. If you have a question or a comment, the WhatsApp number is 0809 440 And you can also tweet at smooth981. The phone lines are open as well, so you can give us a ring. The number to call is 01 4489981. Now, when these buildings collapse, there is a lot of speculation, and one major reason that has come up is lack of building permission. Some people have also said sometimes it's substandard products in the market. What are the common reasons why these buildings are collapsing?
Thank you. We have from inception, which is design, concept design. We also have construction planning, the construction execution itself. We have detailing, that's drawings which are not adequately interpreted on site, material quality. So varied reasons could bring problems that lead to failures of buildings and collapse of buildings. But generally, hearing what you mentioned about approval or permits, the permit does not make a building collapse. It doesn't bring a building down. It just means that someone has not having permits, is the government office has not reviewed and checked. They have certain checks which they need to make, and they have not done their own part of it, or they haven't given a go-ahead uh, for this to commence. And sometimes we have business decisions with developers who run ahead of this, and there are processes which Lagos State and I believe every building control department in the country has in place that they handle this sort of thing.
Could you give more information about that, please?
Okay. To my knowledge, also in Lagos State, I'll just speak about Lagos State. So you want to build a house or you want to put a building structure up, commercial or residential, you make your application. There are two bodies in the fiscal planning or two offices. The one is called the Lagos State LASPA, which deals with the documentation and checks that the land belongs to you, the drawings meet specifications of setbacks. They also check that every trade or every profession has put that they have their input of what is required to give a safe building. So they check all of these and they screen it. They call it screening, and they check this and give a permit. They give an approval that yes, you've met all of these, and the documentation also shows that this all belongs to you. We have myriads of stuff that you have to deal with, tax tools, and after you've done that, they'll give you a permit, and you're supposed to meet with Lagos State Building Control Agency, which is the LAPCA, and those are the ones that go out to check. Is there an infraction? Have you complied with what is submitted? Do you have your materials up to standard? What is written in the drawings? What is specified in the drawings? And they look after this through the construction process and also delivery. So LAPCA would normally come to the site and review what the engineer who is supervising the works, and they also request that tests are carried out, and these tests are really to verify that things are in order as stated. Yes.
Do all buildings need a structural engineer on site?
Not exactly. The structural engineer will be on the project, but if it's not, we have what is called an engineer for the contractor. So the contractor engineer should be knowledgeable enough to be able to interpret drawings. And the engineer, the structural engineer who made the drawings, who prepared the drawings, would normally, we find that this is the practice here, would normally could be on site as a residence engineer, or he could frequent the site as agreed, maybe weekly basis or twice weekly or once a month, depending on the complexity of the structure. And they don't have to be on site, but they have to have an oversight function. So they review what the contractor's engineer is doing.
Hmm. Are there specific areas or are there specific type of buildings that shouldn't be constructed in certain areas?
Yes, there are.
Tell us.
Okay. Recently, and I know that this has been a major discussion in social media and also of the engineering organizations like ours, the Nigerian Institution of Structural Engineers. There is a methodology and a type of building construction which is called the flat slab option, which was used for the banana building. Um, and there has been so much discussion on it. This shouldn't have been done. This should be banned. This should not be allowed in Lagos. The risk, but my opinion, professionally, I think every type of building should be designed adequately to be safe. Um, we also make sure that we give it the supervision that's required. What is adequate supervision is what is required to make sure that all parameters are checked and we make sure that the building is safely delivered. Um, with the type of structures that we would say should not be allowed or should be limited or we check,
Mm.
I would say the risk associated with those type of construction should be identified and enumerated by the government offices. And should there be reason for the government to say we should not be doing this sort of thing, they would need to put it in the code and make it a bylaw or part of. Um, we found recently that there has been an increase in some types of development, and technically, I would say this that we also have reasons to believe that there have not been a deep. Um, there needs to be better technical knowledge in the industry for us to accept this.
You're listening to Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. Our guest is the Publicity Secretary of Nigerian Institute of Structural Engineers, Engineer Aileme Unuigbe, and we're talking about the menace of building collapses in Nigeria. We'll take a quick break and we'll continue the conversation on the other side. I see some of your messages coming through. Please keep them coming. 0809 444 981. You can also tweet at Smooth981 and catch the live stream as well. We're up on YouTube at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Stay with us.
It's low. Gonna raise it.
Okay.
So we have how many minutes?
1
minute.
Yes, just about.
Yeah.
Maybe
So there-
8 minutes and
there's-
30. We're streaming live.
Oh, that's my face.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah.
Okay. I know Lagos being a major hub for development, and we find activities of construction is really a bit higher than most parts of the country. So because the activity is much, we find that the possibility or that increase in the number of collapses
I was going to ask
normally
that.
was, yeah. I know you mentioned those numbers. It looks staggering. I'm also a member of the dialogue too, and we realize that because of the population which is driven, that there is a need for housing.
Yes.
It's not enough, so it's a demand and supply, and everybody has suddenly gotten to become developers or joint venture. So you find the increase in construction activities.
Yeah, so you did mention that at some point, some from LAPCA, at least some from LAPCA, is overseeing what is being done on the construction site.
Yes.
Now, if we have multiple construction sites going up simultaneously, is that still practical? Is it still feasible? Does that really happen?
Yes,
Okay, we're going on.
They still show up to supervise.
they're supposed to.
Okay. Okay.
You're listening to Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. It's Zibby here, and our special guest this morning is Aileme Unuigbe. He is a publicity secretary for the Nigerian Institute of Structural Engineers. And we're talking about the problem of building collapses in Nigeria. There have been quite a lot of these in the past years, and from statistics coming from the Building Collapse Prevention Guild, 271 building collapses were recorded in the last decade. Now, last year, 61 buildings were reported to have collapsed in Nigeria. Lagos State recorded 20 of those incidents. And I'm curious, why is Lagos State responsible for this number?
Thank you. I believe it's driven by demand and supply. The dearth of building, stock of building, which the population would need for housing is inadequate. So we find that activity of construction and trying to meet up with housing need in Lagos State has necessitated the spike in the activities, and you find quite a number of contractors have also come in without what I'll call a depth of knowledge and different types of construction. The speed with which they also come in, um, the process needs to be looked at quite closely.
Hmm. Well, let us know what your thoughts are. I could see my phone lines blinking, but it's okay. You can give us a call now. 014489981. That is the number to call. And the WhatsApp number is 0809 440 Pastor Dakbo via WhatsApp says, we're lucky that earthquakes don't occur in this part of the world. I'm going to come back to that message, but let's go on to the phone lines. Good morning. All right. All right, Saji, go ahead, please. All right, thank you, Soji, for your question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Soji. This is a zoning discussion, and it's really not the practitioners, or it is more of the government authorizing or the government department that zone what sort of buildings should go in different areas. And you'll agree with me that after the documents have been submitted and there is an approval and there is a permit, it means the type of building that you see, hotel or what you have, and the noise generated, this has been considered, and in what is laid down as the rules and regulations, it meets the requirements, and that's why they allow them. This is not something which a professional could just say, I don't like this to be here. Is what the government, in the wisdom, also decide. And to help you with this, maybe just a word here, it's with the influx of and the city taking in more inhabitants, you'll find that different needs will come up. We need shopping, we need supermarket, we need to meet up with entertainment, we need to meet up, and those would give a dynamic change in the urban structure of the city.
So this is something related to town planning, perhaps?
Yes.
Okay.
Lagos State has town planners, and they are more on the LASPA side, and this is the planning approval unit of Lagos State.
All right, let's go on to the phone lines. Good morning. Good morning. Very well, thank you. Name and location, please. All right, Abbas, go ahead. Do you have evidence of this, Abbas? Okay. All right. Thank you, Abbas, for calling. Have a brilliant day ahead. Let's go on to our WhatsApp messages. Benito says, as per the building collapses in Lagos in recent times, it shows two clear culprits: regulation, control, and then building material shrinkflation as per material quality. Most I will greatly blame on the Lagos state government for more of these issues. Are there any common patterns or trends that can be identified from some of these cases of these buildings that have collapsed in recent times?
Well, I'll say this. In the last 4 years, 2018, 19, 20, 20, there have been collapses in Lagos State, and I've had the opportunity of being an investigator in the team of investigators. And I've seen of notes will be design errors, detailing errors, which really puts the blame on the engineers. So inadequate design, which means you have um, not qualified, unqualified, or not experienced engineering personnel. That's one. Two is quality of material. What is specified by the engineers sometimes is not achieved by the contractors. They really don't understand, or they take with levity um, the adherent to the specifications. And you find that when buildings begin to have, and it may not happen right away while the construction is going on, this could happen 2, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. There have been buildings that really did not show um, the defects which are latent due to construction errors or construction planning. So we have materials, which I believe SON is in charge of this responsibility. It's not actually Lagos State. You have the material quality that comes into the market, namely the iron rods, as is popularly called, reinforcement. They're substandard, and the quality may not at some time meet what is designed. Now, Lagos State made it mandatory that we should check, we should have tests carried out before you build. You carry out tests on test sample, you take samples, go to the laboratory. We have many of them around in the city. And you should test just to confirm that what is specified by the engineer is what you're meeting up with it, so that the building should perform. As many do not carry out this test, and you find at the end of the day, when the stresses kick in, the buildings begin to perform otherwise.
Wow. And let's go on to the phone line 0144899981. Okay, you can give us a ring back. You know the number. It's 0144899981. Gilbert Musa says, on the collapsed building in Ikoyi, what happened to recommendations submitted by the Building Collapse Protection Guild in Nigeria when a building collapsed in Abuja in 2010 and 2 lives were lost? The answer is blowing in the wind. We're on to the phone lines. Good morning. Good morning. What's your name? Where are you calling from? All right, Joel, go ahead, please. Mm. Mm. All right. Mm. Okay. Well, thank you for calling and sharing your thoughts. You're listening to Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1, and we're talking about building collapses in Nigeria. Do you want to respond to any of the phone calls?
Well, I think I'll take a few points on the last caller. Yes, the engineer. While I do not have any I don't have anything against anyone who says he wants to build. Uh, if you have the competence, go for it. You're an architect and you want to build. You're an engineer. You want to build. You have the competence, then that's fine. I think that's just all that we need about that. Now, um, if we say they don't do what they're supposed to do, it means either of two things: they don't know it, or they're trying to cut corners. Now, if any engineer is caught doing this, there is a regulatory body called CORIN, Council for the Regulation. I think the public owes it to speak up and report any get the names and report to the local current office. There are regulations in the, and I think as the earlier the communities begin to also watch out when we see things that are not that shouldn't be, we can ask who are you and where, what sort of engineer. And if we see the drawings or the names, you can call the government office. And if it's an engineering issue, we can call into current to report.
Mm. Now, I've heard people say, oh, look at that building. It doesn't look like it's stable. Can someone who is not trained to be an engineer from the human eye tell that perhaps a mixture of cement to sand is not adequate just by looking?
You can't. I
Okay.
would not agree that anyone who is not trained to
Mm.
do it will not will be able to identify flaws in a building. Yes, you may be able to see a few things when you're close. You see cracks on the building as you drive past the building. You see uh, what is called spalling, pieces of concrete falling off
Okay.
parts of it. Corrosion, yes, you know that has actually deteriorated to a level that any person in this community can tell that this shouldn't really be.
Mm.
But to say this building looks tilty or this or the material used is not good, you would need to have been trained in this.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll continue the conversation on the other side. This is Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. Our special guest is a publicity secretary from the Nigerian Institute of Structural Engineering, Engineer Aileme Unuigbe. Stay with us.
Okay, we're not doing badly.
Natural.
We're moving.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
We're fine.
Okay. You've got about 15 minutes.
That's fine. You can read this stuff so that you know.
Okay, awesome.
Oops.
Your own question, right?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
Run can be established. People are regulatory entities, for example, at the what should happen.
You make a report to the authorities because they're the authority that has jurisdiction.
How can we plead the need against that?
Yes. And have, I may not mention names, but get paid 40 million paid people. That's
And,
because
and these local guys are members of professional bodies.
they're supposed, all of them are supposed to be, they're different professional bodies.
So there's supposed to be engineers in that.
And they're supposed to also be reported according to their professional bodies. But it's just that people don't
Yes, we are. This is Lagos Talks on Smooth 98.1. We're talking about the problem of building collapses in Nigeria. Last year alone, 61 building collapses were recorded, 20 of those from Lagos State. And just last week, another building collapse in Banana Island here in Lagos. So far, one fatality recorded. Now, this was in the news this morning from Business Day, actually. Now, professionals in the building sector had faulted the Lagos State government's complete stop work order on in any development around Banana Island. What's your opinion on that?
Well, my opinion, and I'll say Lagos State Department has a wider view of why they made the decision, and if there is need for, or there is an attack on safety and public safety and property, Lagos State has the responsibility first to make sure that this is achieved and this is adhered to. Um, if Mr. Governor says we stop, there must be a reason why. Uh, he, I know it affects business, it affects construction times and all that. People would have, this is almost like what is called force majeure. It isn't what we planned to do, but there was necessity. I believe that there must have been a necessity for government to say, let's stop, I need to do an audit. Now, how long will this be? I think government also owes it to the developers and the promoters to say, we're going to take a 2-week window and your business will get back, but we need to sanitize and look at different things or look at things differently. Yeah.
All right, we're speaking with Engineer Aileme Unuigbe. If you have a question or you have a comment, please share with us. The WhatsApp number is 0809 440 and the telephone number is 01 4489 981. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
We need you to speak up a bit more, please. All right, Ohi, go ahead. Oh, hey, you might want to give us a ring back. It seems like the signal is not too great, but you know the number is 014489 Now, Engineer Aileme, when it's been shown or where it can be proven that there was negligence officially, what would you suggest?
There is a desk in the in the government office. There's a desk where we can seek redress and make complaints. If it has to do with the work, that means Lagos State is checking in their responsibility to come review. They're not very firm with their work. I think this we can take up with the government office and report to get a change or to see a change in how they behave. Now, if it has to do with moral and ethical issues, this actually goes just, there's that desk which we can make a report and say your district officer or your staff, such and such person is making these such ethical, unethical demands. We also have the professional bodies, regulatory bodies, like such as Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria. We also have the builders. So when we have unethical practices, we can actually go on to the professional regulatory bodies to make a report of unethical practices.
Mm. So, how can we strengthen the regulatory agencies, the ones that have been listed, to ensure that they actually are able to carry out these responsibilities that are assigned to them?
Okay. You're asking how the government can strengthen.
Mm.
Okay. Um, I'll just say this as a blanket. I'm aware of some undertakings which the government is planning, the department is planning to introduce. And it's unfortunate that we had this collapse before they could move and roll this out. There's a partnership which the department is looking to effect with the private sector professionals so that they increase the number. And we also have the private practice or the private, those in private practice will be able to augment and, as it were, increase the capacity of the Lagos Building Control Agency in supervision and also stage inspection of the constructions.
Mm.
So
Zero one.
that is coming.
Okay. 0144899981. That is the telephone number. And the WhatsApp number is 0809 440 I've got a message from Ife. Ife says, I'd like to think that the urgency on the part of investors and developers can account for some of these building failures. Taking how long it does to take concrete to ensure its required strength and durability, how can this be dealt with? Because following the required processes could lead to longer construction timeframes that most people do not want to go through.
Well, thank you, FA. I want to think that you have some engineering background and probably civil or structural. So you're talking about the number of days or the time span it takes concrete to gain strength. That's correct. Normally, we specify on the drawings or the construction drawings, you need 28 days strength of something, some particular type of or number. And that number could be achieved in different ways. We find that technology has also been in a major factor here. Apart from promoters or developers and promoters of building investment, they may want these things overnight. As the engineer, you say what is possible and to the best of your knowledge. If you can't achieve it, you let the developer know that you may not be the right fit for the work. Now, we can achieve those strengths. Say, for instance, you have a strength of concrete which is specified for 25 MPa. You should have this in 28 days, and you're able to produce this in 7 days. You will agree with me that we can go ahead and deprop. We can go ahead and continue the next phase rather than wait the 28 days. Innovations have also come. So I'm not against what has been planned, but it has to be realistic and what you can achieve. If it's not achievable, if I don't know it, I don't do it. And I just would set off and leave that project if it's not something that I cannot do. So that's my answer to that, or my comment.
All right, let's go on to the phone line. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, go ahead, please.
Excellent.
Okay. Is it possible all this is happening and we're not aware? Are you certain? Mm, okay. All right. Thank you, Ohi, for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that you say we seek knowledge, and somehow this has failed us, and or we have failed in this. I'm not very proud about how mentorship has happened in the past few decades on many in many sectors, not just the engineering. The country has experienced that the mentoring of the next generation to be able to pick up uh, the values of the profession, the ethics, it has been watered down. I agree with you. And this, we're working to see how we can revive um, in the building industry. The building code, as you mentioned, many years has been set up. It's not been ratified, but we have what we use, which I believe is also good enough. We were colonized by the British, and we used we kind of used the British and the Euro codes, and they have served sufficiently well, even if we haven't developed our local codes here. But we have cultural issues. Up until very recently, a few years ago, Lagos State had block makers. Anyone wakes up and start making blocks on the roadside. But that has been cleaned up. I don't know if you've noticed. The government is trying to do what's in its powers it's able to um, functionally put in place for things to get better. No prosecution. I think this has to do with the public should speak up. And like you said, the issue of collapse and nothing has happened, they settle out of court. As a citizen of this city, you can also you can speak up. Let your voice, if we don't speak up and if we don't make a case of it, and we don't have to go to court, you can speak to Smooth FM and write, and let's take it as like we're talking this morning. Prosecution is usually done by, yes, Lagos State may not be able to prosecute an engineer who defaults in what his responsibilities should be, but he will be reported to as an engineer. We have a regulatory body which is current. Are they meeting up to query? The truth is, I don't know. I don't know if this is happening, but I believe that this has happened in the past. And they ask, give your own input of what happened. And I agree with you. If people find that professionals are prosecuted, developers have to not just pay a price money-wise, but we, like I said, scapegoat, or one is held accountable. I'm responsible for this. It would go a long way in sanitizing and helping people make a decision. And the last which you mentioned was the area of transparency. I've always been an advocate that we should have reports of building collapse investigations put online. Just put them on the website, put them where the public has access. This is what happened. it may not be it may not be particular information which the public would. There may be other technical things, but every responsible organization should put this up and let the public see it, where they can read and know what happened. Thank you.
All right, we've got a tweet coming in from Dio. Dio says a possible solution is to reduce the involvement of developers and clients during construction. Government should also integrate stage supervision into current curriculum if possible, make the clients pay for this during the approval stages to reduce their involvements. And let's take another phone call. Good morning. Good morning. I'm very well, thank you. And you? Good morning, Moses. Mm-mm. Okay, Moses. All right, Moses. Thanks for sharing your thoughts.
I see the passion Moses was delivering that. Yes, there may still be others who are making substandard blocks outside, but I'm sure majority of this has been cleaned up. And if we have this, we can report to SON, Standards Organization of Nigeria. We can report to the government department. They will be able to adequately take care of this. Secondly, about transparency and what happens to all the investigations and what happens to all that. Like I said, I'm an advocate for this. Let government post on their website. Let the current, let the regulatory body post what is the report and let it be read. Let people have access to it and know this was what happened and what they can do when they find infractions on the construction.
All right, thank you, Ohi. I can see the link to an article that you've sent to us on WhatsApp. Thank you for that. Engineer Aileme, a lot of the buildings that have collapsed recently in Lagos were buildings under construction. There have been also cases of buildings that were inhabited by people. What role does maintenance play in the collapse of buildings that are already being inhabited?
Just like any other situation, we need to maintain buildings. The very major thing I'll say about buildings, there are engineering technical stuff I won't bore us with that, but we want to make sure that buildings don't have attacks by the elements, weather elements, water, there will be corrosion, whatever will deteriorate the constituent materials. And usually you find we add the paint to the external. The paint has a protective layer which helps and makes sure that ensures that water does not get into those structural portions. We have a crack in a building structural member. In Lagos, for instance, the humidity is high. It just draws in water, and we find buildings begin to deteriorate. And over time, if these are not checked, um, it could lead to very, very disturbing um, issues.
All right, we're out of time. This is a conversation I wish we had a lot more time for. I feel like there's still so much, but hopefully we can have you on the show at a later time to discuss more of this. All right, do you have any last words?
Well, I would just want to say the discussion is going on, and the public would do well to, as we're expecting the investigation to be concluded soon, and Lagos State Department will be able to give us what really happened, what could we learn, and the engineering and the construction industry professionals will also be able to see. I know many different groups are carrying out investigation, and the public we owe it to the public to give the information of what happened and what can we learn, which will help us formulate policies and framework to better housing delivery. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Engineer Aileme Unuigbe, for being a guest on our show this morning. Now, we hope that through the show, we've been able to bring some awareness to the issue of building collapses and work towards finding solutions that will eventually ensure the safety of citizens and prevent further tragedies from occurring. That's all the time that we have for Lagos Talks this morning and the Smooth Breakfast. Thanks for being here all through the show. Strictly Soul starts up from 10 a.m. right here on Smooth 98.1. Have a brilliant day ahead. Woo!